All right, I'm here today with Skylar, and you are the woman who is going to ride across the country. I'm so excited. I want to show everybody I'm not wearing black today. I'm wearing one of Skylar's shirts. I support the ride. And on the back, I'm not entirely sure if you can see what's back here. Can you see it?
Yep, it shows up. That's good.
So I just encourage people to get one of these t-shirts. There's also, do you want to tell us about what other t-shirt you have available now, Skylar?
Well, we have a couple. We have some for men that don't say "Be proud to be female." They just have the ride logo on the front, and all of our tour dates are on the back. We're calling them tour dates. Basically,
Okay, so I should back up just a little bit for someone who is watching this and has no idea what the ride is. Can you just give an overview of what it is?
it is a 2-month long protest.
Awesome.
What we are doing there are two women on motorcycles. I started out alone. Another lady has joined me. She actually bought the same make and model of a motorcycle as I have, so that we, be able to keep track of things. And I'm old. I'm 61 years old. I'm disabled, and she's taking a maintenance class so she can help with my bike too.
Well, that's great.
Right. And what we're doing is we're starting in Orlando. We're going to be picketing the pediatric gender clinics
Wow.
that are transitioning our children. I say transitioning, even though that's not even real. What they are doing is they're giving cancer drugs, end of life cancer drugs that are used to sterilize sex offenders.
Yeah.
They're giving them to our children and calling them puberty blockers. Puberty has been proven to be a cure for gender dysphoria. As an extremely gender nonconforming woman all of my entire life, and as someone that is on the autism spectrum, which is also a comorbidity, I don't know how to pronounce that very well, I find it very horrible that they are amputating healthy body parts from children as young as 13 years old. You can't even get a tattoo with permission with your parents until you're 16, but they will allow these children to sterilize themselves with these drugs, and to cut off healthy body parts. And so I feel that is heinous, and so I'll fight that.
And you and I would both probably be put in this pipeline if we were little kids today. I had what would be considered a trans identity as a kid, and as a teenager was very gender nonconforming. I was one of those girls that totally didn't fit in, and I still don't fit in as a typical female. And so I think that that's one of the reasons. I think those of us who were not typical girls, who either had gender dysphoria or I even hate that term now when I think about it, because it's just all these rigid gender stereotypes. Anybody who didn't fit into those stupid little boxes of what femininity was supposed to be is being put in this pipeline. And so I think that's so many of us are, it's hitting a nerve for us because we see ourselves in these girls who are being put on this medicalization, lifelong medicalization pathway.
It honestly fills me with a deep rage that they are taking children like I was, and destroying them.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to tell us that we're being horrible trying to save these kids. And the ride is an act of love. I love children so much that I'm willing to, at my age, with screws in my knee and my foot, get on a motorcycle and travel this country, simply to be able to say out to these, especially young girls, because I'm a woman, but to be able to just say, you don't have to pretend or try to be something you're not in order to enjoy your life and be who you are. Being authentic is not changing our body to fit what other people think that we should be.
And it certainly isn't taking these incredibly harmful experimental drugs in order to alter your external appearance. There's nothing authentic about that.
Right. And the thing is, this is only one part of our ride. We have 4 main points.
Okay.
Number 1, women have basic human rights to safety, dignity, and privacy. Um,
And this you would think would be sort of accepted, universally accepted. The fact that we're having to fight it yet again is just so infuriating to me. The fact that we're having to say no men in women's prisons, no men in women's bathrooms, and that we're being targeted for being hateful, for insisting on our rights and protections.
Misogyny 101.
Yeah, it's
Saying,
unbelievable.
saying no to men is hate.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Our consent means nothing anymore. Our consent is now hate.
Right. And we will be picketing the women's prisons that are allowing men.
Good.
And we need bodies. Our schedule is, the cities we're going to, they're posted with the dates. And anyone that's interested, we're going to have staging points in
Okay.
each city. And we will let people know where those staging points are.
So
And
if
then you
somebody's
can,
watching this and they're like, heck yeah, I want to get involved. How do they get involved?
you can DM me
Okay.
on Facebook. I'm Skylar Gwen.
Mhm.
And on Twitter, I am at Goddess Energy XX. I'm a little bit more flammable on Twitter, be warned, uh, because I'm angry on Twitter, and it's easier to get angry on Twitter because people are very abusive.
Well, it's interesting to me that historically, women who are standing up for their rights have been labeled as hateful or hysterical or angry, when in fact what we're doing is we're standing up for children and women. We're not going to be gaslighted. We're not going to be bullied. We're going to get on our bikes and ride. In your case, we're going to stand in front of prisons and clinics and say no more. And we need bodies. We need people to stop complaining and start standing up and doing something.
We really do. We need people to join us to picket.
Hmm.
We know that there are some organizations out there, the Partners for Ethical Care, LGBT Fight Back, RODG Parents. They have really good signage and they have really good banners. So I'm hoping that they will join us when we hit cities that they have a presence.
Yeah.
Because we are hitting 20 cities in 2 months. This is not going to be boring. We're making a documentary. I have a GoPro body cam that I'll be using, partly for safety, because when people know they're on film, they're less likely to want to attack you.
Yeah.
Hopefully people will not want to attack an old lady that's just trying to save women and children's lives. But we do get a lot of threats, and I think that that faction they're terrorist, and they're using terrorist tactics. It all boils down to redefining women as a sex class, as being a subset of our own sex.
Right.
And I never use their language anymore.
Hmm.
I don't use the words trans or transgender unless they're in quotation marks.
Yeah.
Because these are men.
Yeah.
They are men. Even who was it? The man that's in the MMA, Rogan. Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan. Yeah.
He basically told Fallon, you're a man. You're a
Right.
man without a dick, but you're a man.
Yeah.
And you don't have any business beating up on women.
No. No.
They're sitting there cheering on a man breaking a woman's skull.
And it just makes you wonder how many men are sort of fulfilling this fantasy of wanting to beat women up, wanting to bully women. And it really is very disturbing. And then this other fantasy of wanting to, keep children as children. These puberty blockers, basically, they keep children as children. They interrupt, they retard these children's growth and development. They developmentally delay them. In what world do we celebrate that? As a mom, I have had children. If somebody came up to me and said, your child has a developmental disability, I would be very sad. I would never give them a medication that was going to developmentally delay them, retard their growth and development, all because of something that they felt about themselves. There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
Parents need to ask themselves, if your child walks up to you and tells you at 4 and 6 and 7 and whatnot, that they're Superman, are you going to let them jump off the nearest tall building?
Yeah.
If they think they're a mermaid, are you going to let them swim out in the middle of the ocean and drown?
Yeah.
No, children live in a fantasy world.
And that's what being a child is about, which is why they need parents to set up boundaries to help protect them. That's our job, and we're letting them down. And these doctors and therapists, they're all culpable, and so is any politician that's buying into this. Pharma is raking in so much money. This has nothing to do with kids. So let's get back to your ride, because I tend to go off on this and I get so angry, and I'm so thankful that you're doing something about it. So you're starting out in Florida.
Okay, yeah. Oh, and speaking of money, our effort is a true grassroots effort. We have enough money for gas for 2 motorcycles and to pay for the poster campaign.
Oh my gosh, we need to at least get you enough money to pay for coffee, because you've got such an intense schedule.
It's going to be crazy. And people are couch surfing us across the country. And
okay, so explain what that means.
Oh, that means that if you have a couch or a bed that we can use, and you happen to be in one of the cities we're visiting or along the route, please DM me and let me know. We keep the addresses and the names of the people we're staying with confidential, for your safety. The only people that will know your actual address would be Joy, myself, and if we actually manage to raise enough money for a support vehicle, we have a driver, and she would know too. So basically, we would know because we'll show up on your doorstep. Other than that, we will hide your identity. We have a place to stay in Seattle, Vegas, Iowa City, Madison, I think Chicago, hopefully Detroit. We need a place to, and we have a place to stay in Washington. We don't have places to stay in Atlanta, or not sure about Portland, LA, Frisco, anybody in these areas.
Okay.
We just, we're trying not to spend money on our lodging.
Yeah.
Because we're spending money on posters.
These are good looking posters.
Yeah,
and
you can
talk about the 4 different posters.
We'll finalize them this afternoon, and we will have high resolution links on our website. Awesome. So that you can participate in the ride wherever you are. If we aren't going to make it to your city, do like we're doing. We're printing 20 of each poster for every city. So that means we'll have 80 posters put out across these cities. And we'll have these high res downloads for you on our website. You can print them out and post them all over your cities. And that's one way you can take part in the ride, even if you can't be there.
Nice. And I think that's important, because a lot of times I know there are people who live, like I live in northern Utah, and it's hard for me to get to these places that are actually having protests that are, having action on the ground. But that's something I can do. I can print up posters like that and put them up. And I'm going to.
These posters are awesome too.
Yeah, they're good looking posters, and they have links to various organizations, and so everybody can get involved, and donations, even $5 so that you can get a cup of coffee one morning. These are
actually $5 would probably help us with a campsite. That's the other thing we'll be doing. We'll be camping a lot. Nature helps me. I have a lot of issues, and doing this is difficult. I live on the side of a mountain in the middle of nowhere, and I do that for a reason. Because it's hard for me to be around a lot of people. But this is important enough. This is important enough that I feel like my whole life led me to this point. It made me uniquely qualified to speak to all of these issues. Being gender nonconforming, being a lesbian, being a rape survivor and a domestic violence survivor. All of these things make me uniquely qualified to speak to these issues. And it's hard for younger women to speak up, because they are ostracized, they are fired from their jobs, they are threatened with rape and death. Uh, and I'm old enough that those type of things don't affect me.
Yeah, I
And
do feel like women, older women are leading this battle in a way because, for one, we have less to risk as far as our employment. I've talked to so many people who have expressed concerns that they want to get out there and do something, but they're worried about getting fired. They're worried about losing friends. They're worried about losing family. And older women, I think, either have less to lose or realize it's worth losing it, because if we don't stand up now, we're going to lose a whole lot more in the upcoming years if we don't stand up.
well, our silence will not protect us.
Yeah. And I
That's
think
the
we've probably learned that. I'm sure you've learned that. I know I
Yeah,
have.
I learned that the hard way over and
Yeah.
over.
You just sit there and think it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And it doesn't unless you do something.
Right. For our pickets, I feel like the women's prisons, I'm hoping that the women in prison will be able to see us out there picketing so that they know that they are not alone, that women
Wow.
on the outside actually really care. We
Yeah.
really care. That's one of the things that has made me angrier than just about anything is that there was a woman in I think it's a California prison. They told her that she would have to have a man for a roommate, and she said she was uncomfortable with that and asked them not to. And they handcuffed her and took her into the disciplinary segregation section, and she tried to kill herself. And then they reported it up as being aggressive and uncooperative or whatever. And
Wow.
I'm sitting here going, but wait a minute. All this is a woman that is in prison. She's probably already been molested.
Yeah.
She's probably already been raped.
Well, and that's
Um,
most prisoners already have a history of trauma. Most female prisoners have a history of trauma. A lot of them have a history of sexual abuse and assault. And so this is just, adding insult to injury to do this to them. I'm wondering if there's any other ways that we can let them know we care. As you're talking, I'm thinking just to let them know there are people on the outside who care and who are going to stand up for them, because I can't imagine anything more helpless than to be incarcerated and to be told that you have to put up with having a man as a roommate and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you complain, they're going to call you hateful and bigoted. I mean,
it isn't okay.
it isn't okay.
It is a violation of the Geneva Convention. It
Yeah.
is torture,
Yeah.
and it's not okay.
Yeah. It's also a
Um,
denial of reality. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of them calling us hateful because we're insisting on protecting our bodily integrity. I mean,
Women have been demonized for saying no to men for centuries.
yeah.
And all this is a new take. They
Yeah.
put on dresses, they put on lipstick, and then they say, we're more oppressed than you are. And I look at them and laugh
Yeah.
because they have no clue
No.
what it means. I did an interview, two-part interview with Stand Up International. And if you've ever been sexually assaulted or abused in any way, Stand Up International is all about empowering women, giving them their voice, giving them their power back, helping them to recover their lives after traumatic events. And standupinternational.org, I just love them. I really do. I did that interview, and it dawned on me that, before I even knew anything, I mean, I wasn't even 6 and I had been molested, you know, that
Yeah, I think it's
destroys.
amazing how many little girls are. I mean, and I was just watching a video about how, quote unquote men's magazines, quite liberally showed um, girls being, sexualized, young girls being sexualized in the 60s and 70s, and how it was something that was joked about and laughed about. And so those of us from that generation, I think it was almost just accepted. It was like we were there to be played with. Um,
Yeah. Is it any wonder that our young girls are running from being women like a house on fire? A
yeah,
good question. How many women were comfortable during puberty?
yeah,
How many of us, were any of us comfortable during puberty? We get our periods. Suddenly we're bleeding. I wasn't even told that it was going to happen. I thought I was going to die. Um, all of a sudden we have breast appearing and we're told we have to wear shirts when we're I just wanted to play Tarzan and was told I had to put a shirt on. That was enough to make me want to be a boy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But
So
back to
tell
our
us, when is your ride going to start?
um, the first event is in Orlando, May 29th.
Okay, so coming up about a
Oh
month.
yeah, it's coming up. we need some support, people.
Yeah,
Anyway, our second point was that we need to stop excluding women and girls from sports.
right.
Because in order to include these men and boys, they actually exclude
Yes,
women and girls from their own sports.
right.
This isn't just about fairness of competition. This
Yeah,
is about women and girls started our sports so that we had a place to compete.
right.
And now we are losing those spaces to compete
Yeah,
because boys say, well, I'm a girl. And you can sit there and see in their track leotard that they're not a girl.
right. Well,
And
and
that's
then
kind
they
of
gain
insulting.
access to locker rooms and girls' facilities.
Yeah. And see, that's even worse than taking their athletics.
Yeah,
And then, okay, our third point of the four that we have so far, we've covered three. We've covered women's rights, women's sports, and the medical destruction of our children. And the third one is the rape culture, the
mm,
conversion therapy being
mhm,
forced upon young lesbians within their own so-called community.
yeah,
These young women are being told that all a man has to do is put on lipstick and a dress, and they're horribly bigoted and homophobe or transphobes or whatever if they don't want a man. Well, the definition of lesbian is a female homosexual. It is not about your gender, people. This is a sexual orientation, and it is homophobia to try and force lesbians to take on men just because they could think of themselves as female.
yeah, and just because they put on lipstick and a dress, and I'm hearing a lot of young women who are lesbians who are now saying they're asexual, and I think it's because saying they're asexual is the only way that they feel safe, and that's heartbreaking that they don't feel like they even have a right to protect their sexuality, and this is coming from the very movement ostensibly that was supposed to protect LGBT rights.
Right. And then we finally have organizations that are stepping up and being made, like LGBT Alliance,
Yeah.
LGBT Alliance USA. And then we have Stonewall over in the UK slandering them. And Stonewall is the most homophobic organization on the planet. They began to represent LGBs. And instead, now all they represent is this TQ plus,
Yeah,
you
whatever
know,
that is.
whatever that is.
Whatever that is. It's
We're coming
whatever is expedient at the moment.
exactly. So yeah, that's our 4 points.
All
And our
right.
four posters cover those, and they
That's
cover them very well.
yeah, that's awesome.
Anyone that wants to join us for any of our events, if you're anywhere near our cities, if you want to join us on the ride, um, the staging points, we're going to have caravans from some of the cities to some, like in the Midwest. Some of the women in the Midwest are going to join us in caravan
Oh,
from, I
fun.
think, Detroit to Madison. Uh,
Wow.
we have some bikers that are going to join us, I think, in Pittsburgh. We need more people. We just need people. We
Yeah.
need bodies
This
because
is a real opportunity to raise awareness because one of the things that we see over and over again is that anytime we have protested at a gender clinic, anytime we've protested at a prison when we've tried to raise awareness about what's going on, the media isn't covering it. So this needs to be big enough that the media can't avoid it, or we need to start doing more of our own media coverage to get information out there. And the signs, the posters that you're doing is one way of doing that. And the movie that you're making is
yeah,
another
the
way.
documentary is going to be fun.
Yeah.
We will be posting it as we go.
Awesome.
We'll have a map on our site and we'll pin where we just left. And we're, hopefully we'll pull off some campfire chats where we kind of go over the last action and how did it work and how good was it and how bad was it. Um, Basically, it's going to be a documentary. It's her story in the making, and if other bikers, want to join us, what better way to make a statement than to stage outside a city and ride in on 100 or more motorcycles with a bunch of women saying, we want our sex-based rights,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we will protect our children.
Yeah.
I have a 7-year-old granddaughter. I would like for her to be able to get a scholarship when she gets into school,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she's, she can be amazing.
Yeah, I'm amazed now when periodically will go to universities and look at their women's center scholarships, and the scholarships now tend to be for people who identify as women. They're no longer for females. They're for anybody who wants to appropriate womanhood.
It is time for our country, for our government to admit that women exist as a biological reality, that men are not women. They will never be women. It's okay if they want to wear dresses and lipstick and be themselves because I don't wear dresses and lipstick. And
Right. Yeah. If they want to do that silly crap, that's fine. If they want to wear nail polish, that's no problem. I think it's awfully silly. They're going to spend their money on that. That's fine.
it's okay. I mean, that's not the point. The point
No.
is they're not women.
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to say before we end?
Just please go to the ride, awomensrebellion.com, and we'll have our posters up this evening, and you can download those and print them. Any support you can give, if you're part of an organization that has banners and picket signs and things, join us in these cities. And every little bit helps.
Yeah.
Every bit. Like somebody bought a shirt, and that basically will pay for a campsite. It'll pay for us to have a place to sleep for a night as we're going across the country.
Yeah. And I think people sometimes underestimate how far $5 will go, $10, $20. It can make a difference when it's all pulled together.
It's true. I'm poor, and when I donate to things, I can only usually donate $5. I send $5 a month to the Vancouver Rotary League, because they tried to take all their funding, and all I could think was, well, women all over the world are going to give them some funding, and then you can't shut them down anyway.
Right. Right.
And it made them so mad. Of course, they did the dead rat and stuff, but they figured out that wasn't a good plan because that pissed off everybody.
Right.
When you start threatening rape survivors with rape on their windows, you got a problem.
Yeah. It's just disgusting.
And I don't know how they can call this the right side of history.
Yeah.
Because they're
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not. It's clearly not. Well, thank you for your efforts, Skylar. I can't wait till you get started and to watch your progress. It's going to be exciting, and I'm glad that there are ways for people like me who are sort of on the outskirts to get involved. Get a shirt, get some posters, put them up around your town, send in some money, and share this with your friends so that they know what's going on. Most of us have friends. Pardon?
That's the biggest.
Yeah, share widely and with abandon.
It's all about bringing awareness. It's about bringing awareness.
Exactly.
We're just trying to get average Americans that are not all over the internet to see what is happening to our children, see what is happening to women's rights, and see what is happening to actual LGBTs.
Yeah. Yeah, and really, this is a call to action. You and I are older women. This is not exactly how we thought we'd be spending our, golden years. If we can do our part, everybody, there's something you can do, even if it's buying a t-shirt. There's something you can do. Skylar needs your help, and we need all these efforts to protect our kids and to save women's spaces and protect women's sports. I think those 4 goals are great. Do you want to repeat them one last time? The 4 goals.
Oh, yes, but that'll help you make your signs for our pickets and things.
Yeah.
Number 1, women have the right to privacy, dignity, and safety, separate from men.
Mm-hmm.
We have a right to our private spaces. Get the men out of our prisons, our rape shelters, domestic violence shelters. You don't belong there. They're not yours. Number two, women's sports were made for women. Get the men and boys out of women's sports. Stop calling them trans girls and trans women. They're no kind of girl. They're no kind of woman. They are men and boys. And that's okay. If they want to be included, then boys and men's sports needs to be more inclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
Men's sports inclusive. Leave women's alone.
Yeah.
And number three, lesbians are female homosexuals. It's not homogender, people. Stop the rape culture. Stop the conversion therapy. It's corrective rape. When you tell a lesbian that she has to accept men in her dating pool, how dare you? How dare you? You have no right. And number four, stop transing our kids. Stop medically destroying, sterilizing children. Let kids be kids. Let them grow up. Let them experience puberty. Puberty sucks, but we all live through it. And we are all
it's critical. It's part of human development. We have to go through some, puberty in order to get to the other side.
Yeah, it's, we can't just drug ourselves to avoid the hard things in life.
Yeah.
I tried that. It didn't.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Some things in life are hard. Get over it.
Yeah.
Live through it. It'll pass. I burned my hand almost terribly 2 days ago with some grease. And I was sitting there with my hand feeling like it was on fire. And all I could do was just tell myself, this will pass.
Yeah.
My hand is okay. It'll be fine by the time I have to get on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
It'll pass. People need to understand that life it's got goods, it's got bads. It just is. And we can't run from that.
Right.
We just can't run from that. And we get more power. Every time we live through something that is difficult, it makes us stronger.
It also helps us appreciate the goods.
It really does.
If we ever have bads, we really don't appreciate how good the goods are. So
exactly. So that's our message. And it's going to be as visible as we can make it.
Great. Well, thank you, Skylar.